diving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Raw Recovery, a Trudging Together podcast. My name is Dion Miller, and I will be your host today. I think we are on like episode 70-something. I'm not sure. I don't, kind of like when I first got sober, I had relapsed so much that I got tired of counting my days. So I asked my wife to do it. When I hit 2 years, I just said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and memorize it. So, but I digress. This is not my show today. You've already heard my story. Today we have Travis H. on the show. And I met Travis at my home group. It used to be his home group, and he'd come in a couple weeks ago. I just loved what he had to say. And I'm really good at picking speakers. Travis, thank you so much for coming on the show and taking your time this morning.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, this is the part of the show where I turn it on over to you, since it is your show. So I'm going to go ahead and let go of the reins here, and I'm going to introduce Travis. Travis, welcome to the show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, hello, I'm Travis. I'm an alcoholic, and I am gay too. So that's part of my story.
Okay.
My sobriety date is Halloween 2019, which means I got 1 year, 8 months, 20 days, or 632 days, however you want to look at it. There's a little app on your phone called Pure Time that will keep you on track of that. So
that's awesome. And don't they give you, like daily updates and reflections and things like that on it too, don't they?
This one is just a counter, but when you get to your markers, your 30 days, your 60, like it shoots off fireworks for you and different things.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because I remember coming in and I would look at that thing every day, and then next thing you know, you're 6 months along, you're a year.
Yeah.
So
we do have to celebrate those, and we do need to celebrate our milestones. Somebody's like, I have 13 months, but somebody has like, 9 days. You bet I'm going to clap all day long. If they have under 30 days, I don't care.
Right.
I just want them to have it, man.
I never got when people would say, oh, the newcomer's the most important person in the meeting. But now that I got more than a year and newcomers come in, I always make sure if it's a guy, I put my number to him, and it kind of keeps you grounded from what it was like. You remember your last days or even, before. And I can see why people say the newcomer's the most important now.
Yeah. Well, my forgetter works best. So I need the newcomers to remind me that it still doesn't work.
Yes. And I have many friends, like one just relapsed this week, and I took him back to some meetings, and
good.
Oh, it reminds me, I don't want to go back there, but if I do, I know there's people with open arms that will welcome me back,
Yeah, we don't shoot that's the thing. We don't shoot our wounded. The thing is, a lot of times people, they'll have a relapse and they're embarrassed, and rightfully so, because as a community, we make that embarrassing. And it shouldn't be. You should come right on back, man. That's okay. I had to slip out during my 4-step, and I came right back, and my sponsor was really good about it. He's like, Dion, we don't need to start all the way over, but I think maybe we should probably go hit some main points here first before we continue on with your 4-step.
Yeah, I actually had 45 days before Halloween. I came in, and then I relapsed on a substance, and I knew I was going to because I had it at home, and I saved it, and I did, but I came back in the next day, whereas when I went to rehab, after I relapsed, I was out for 3 years,
Yeah, that's much different.
And I learned to just own up and come right back in. I called my phone list of people, and someone I met one time, answered the phone and helped me. And I came back in and admitted it. And after, because coming into the Dragon's Den, you say, "Hi, Travis, I'm an alcoholic or addict." And you have to acknowledge that for the first 30 days. Well, I just got over it, and then I relapsed, and then I had to do it again, and I was like, I don't want to have to do that again.
Yeah, my home group was a 30-day also. I'm like, I think I'm going to switch to a first, second, or third meeting. But no, you have to keep that accountability, because if we disappear, people are going to ask where we're at, man.
Yep. And it's owning your own shit.
And being honest with yourself. Yeah. So did you grow up here in Colorado? Where'd you grow up at, man?
No, I grew up in Gallipolis, Ohio. It's a little town on the Ohio River, close to, right across from West Virginia and 40 minutes from Kentucky. So,
wow.
I was close to Portsmouth, Ohio, which was the first Oxycontin mill. So, I'm from that part of the world where pills are really bad and everything.
Yeah.
But
isn't that kind of where it started? Was over by the Bible Belt there? Isn't that where where they were doing their quote unquote test runs? I believe. Yep.
But I actually stayed away from all of that until later in life. But yeah, do you want me can I just go ahead and let's get started, man. All right, so I was born and I was a snow baby. So there was a blizzard that went through in '78. I come out 9 months later in December, and I already had a 14-month-old sister and then a 4-year-old sister. So I was the baby boy. My parents are still together. Wow. I have a loving mom that's never been drunk, never done drugs or anything, and then I have a construction dad that likes to drink and party. So I guess I kind of got a lot of my dad in me, but I do have a lot of my mother too.
Certainly.
Growing up in the little country, I was always kind of taught gay was wrong. So I kind of hid that. I always knew I was gay, but I just kind of pushed it aside because I liked girls too. And it was really confusing for me. So I just did the girl thing. And then about 12, that's kind of when I first started experimenting with weed and drinking. But me and my friends weren't drinkers. We just liked to smoke weed. So we pretty much did that, on weekends until it got worse and worse. Once I turned 16 and I had a car, we smoked every day because we had open lunch at school so we could leave at lunch and come back. And then we started experimenting with pills and Xanax and Valiums and weed. And then we would drink occasionally. And that was really about it until after high school. I went to college, and that's when drinking kind of started more because I could go to a gay bar and people would buy me drinks and people made me feel good, So I dated girls, but, when I didn't, I would go and run to the gay bars, but I still was trying to find myself. And in the midst of all of that, my drug use just grew from, coke to crack to, different times throughout my life. I think drugs kind of were around more. So after I graduated college, I moved to Kentucky. I'm a funeral director and embalmer, and I went down there and I got on crack. One of my best friends got me on that, and that was really hard to get off of. So my solution was, let's just move away from it. So I moved back to Cincinnati, and I got off crack, but back on coke. But with coke, I wasn't getting evicted, so I didn't really care.
You were. I'm an elite coke user.
So, and by the time coke was there, I was drinking, because I was over 21, and I would go out drinking, and I would. I would drive 2 blocks to the bar because if I had to walk, I'd stop and get crack. So I would just drive drunk.
Okay. And that's a thought process of an addict right there. Yep.
Yes.
I understand. And we laugh because I understand that. I get that.
And I did find this little quote, and it reminded me of probably that stage of my life. And it said, I knew I was an alcoholic by the way I felt sober. I like that. And,
absolutely.
I never loved myself. I mean, I had a mom and dad that loved me and everything, and they did the best they could. But hiding that I was gay really kind of, screwed me up a little bit inside. And so that's what I'm still working on today is loving myself.
Okay.
But when I moved back to Cincinnati, I finally was just doing the coke and the alcohol and the weed. So I was working on my master's, and then I decided, hey, let's move to Colorado. So once I finished all my own campus classes, I moved out here. Couldn't get coke, so I was fine. I was just drinking every day. And then then I found meth. Meth stopped everything for me. I didn't need to drink. I didn't need to smoke weed, and I didn't need to go out. I just ended up just being kind of a whore and doing a lot of drugs and having a lot of sex. So right before I actually did come to Cincinnati or to Colorado, that's when I came out to my mother first, because I'm a mama's boy, and I told her I was gay. And my mom's the sweetest lady in the world, but her words to me was, I don't know. I wish you wouldn't have told me. I don't know why you choose that lifestyle and you're going to die of AIDS. And that killed me.
Ow.
So I didn't talk to my mom or my family for a month, and my sister would call and check in on me. But then I got into meth, and I just kept diving down in. Then after I thought I was unstoppable. I actually got HIV, and so then my world. I found out the Friday of Pride, and I lived right on Colfax, right by all the Pride events, and I called my dealer that I knew was positive and had a lot of questions for him, and tried to find other HIV gentlemen to just have sex with over the weekend. And I never left my apartment, and I was just in this funk, Okay. Then my dog died. I had to put my dog down. I had for 14 years, and my life just kept going down.
Yep.
And everybody's bottom is different, and you might hear someone's story and be like, well, that was their bottom, but no, that wasn't my bottom yet. So I after getting fired from a job, I'd never been fired before, got another job, got fired from it. And then the dog died, and I'm like, I got to change something in my life or I'm going to die in this apartment. And by that time, meth wasn't doing anything for me, so I switched to heroin. And heroin got me depressed, where I wanted my life to change. And I opened up with my parents. I finally got back, with my mom and dad and stuff. And but they didn't know anything. They just knew I've gotten fired. And moms and dad said that they'd help me move back to Ohio if I needed. And I said, yes, please. And I was trying to find some rehabs to go to. But, I was losing my insurance and then going to Ohio, and I didn't know really anything about it, rehab. I didn't know anything about AA at the time or NA or anything. So we shipped my Jeep back, and I just left everything that didn't fit in my Jeep, flew home, and I remember my friend taking me, and she had actually gotten clean. She was the first one I did heroin with, but she drove me to the airport, and I remember crying, leaving. I felt ashamed, I didn't make it, I don't know. I'm going back. And so my parents picked me up, and it was a 3-hour drive from Cincinnati back home, and we got home at midnight or something, and my parents live in 30 acres of woods, and I just remember looking up at the stars and crying I made it home, I made it. So the next morning, I was laying there and I didn't feel good. And Dad helped me off the couch and I had to go puke. And he was like, "Are you going to make it?" And I looked at him and I was like, "I'm withdrawing from heroin." And he didn't have any idea what to do. Him and Mom didn't. They didn't know I was on anything. And so I didn't even know what withdrawals from heroin was, because once I started it, I just did it and I didn't know. Yeah. And I called my friends and I was like, "Hey, I'm getting sick out here." And they're like, "We haven't had any heroin." And I'm like, this is what happens when you get off heroin? They're like, yeah. And I was like, well, hell, someone should have told me that one. But it wouldn't have done any difference. I would have probably
No, it was.
So I just...
It won't happen to me. Yeah.
Right? So I just walked it off. You know, I mean, I felt like crap for a few days. And, you know, every day just got a little bit better. Well, then I hooked up with one of my best friends from my hometown, and he was staying with his parents. And he was kind of in the doghouse. Well, he knew where to get heroin in my hometown. So then me and him were back off to the races. And we learned, like, if you don't only do it like 3 days and then give it a break, then you don't get sick. But we didn't have the willpower to stop. You know, we could always come up with $20 or something. So a buddy sent us a friend where they went to rehab in Florida. And I ended up, me and my buddy, we got to go to Florida together. Me and my best friend did. And we were like, well, we got to go on drugs. So we just kept using until that month was up. And we flew down to Florida. Our parents, our moms, we introduced our moms. They never really knew each other, but they are like good friends to this day that still go play bingo and dominoes together. And
that's awesome, man. I think that's cool.
And I still call his mom like a lot. Like I love his mom. So she's a sweet lady.
I had a friend that passed from drinking. And I still would talk with his mom a lot. Absolutely.
Well, my buddy, he went back out when I did, but I came back and he's still out. So he doesn't answer his phone. So I talked to his mom, you know, and check.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we went down to Florida and it was a great experience. That's when I found we had to go to detox for 8 days and then we went to the rehab and rehab was great. Like I told my buddy, hey, we're going to the beach, man. And they did. They took us intercoastal kayaking. They did all kinds of stuff. And the first day I was in rehab, like after we had like, I called it school. We would have to go to the rehab place and have classes all day. And then they would take us to meetings. And so my first AA meeting was a speaker meeting. And I went in and said I was an alcoholic. And I listened to the speaker and I heard we need sponsors. So I walked right up to him after the meeting and asked if he could be my sponsor. And he said yes. And all the therapists and stuff were like, you've been here 1 day. And these other goons have been here for 3 weeks and they still don't have a sponsor. And I'm like, well, and it's part of it. Like, we just got to do it, right? So I met my sponsor, Ben, in an AA meeting, and he told his story. Well, then he came to my sober living and told how he was on drugs and different things. And I'm like, what? You said you were an alcoholic. And he's like, I was in an AA room, and you just respect the room you're in.
That's right.
And so, you know, and so that taught me, and I'll go to an AA room and say I'm an alcoholic. I can go to NA and say I'm an addict. I went to CA last night, you know? Yeah. And some of my friends, they're like, well, I don't like AA. And I'm just like, they're like, I said I'm an addict, and they didn't like that. And I'm like, well, just respect the room. But I don't know. Maybe I got that memo and other people didn't. So, but yeah. So let's see. So I got that sponsor and we worked on the steps until I left, you know, after 30 days. I got my 30-day chip and then I didn't want to go back to Ohio. So, you know, being around my dad and drinking and smoking weed, I thought I should stay away from him. Love him to death, but you know. So I flew to Salt Lake City, and I went into a sober living.
Okay.
And because of like insurance stuff, I couldn't do the IOP I was hoping, but I went in sober living and I enjoyed that. I was out there for like 7 months until I relapsed. I had moved into my own apartment and relapsed that day.
Okay. Yeah.
The same day my sponsor relapsed. I lived with my sponsor for like a week before my apartment opened up, and then he relapsed too. Yeah, like out there in Salt Lake, I did a lot of CMA, and I even chaired a meeting at the block, the homeless shelter down at the block, and and I love the CMA people. Like, I haven't found that kind of group of CMA here in Denver. I think AA is kind of bigger and CA and stuff, but you know, you just
Colorado's a little behind on some things right now. So
yeah, and you just find what you know you like and what you feel comfortable.
Yeah. Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
So I kind of relapsed about 120 days in, and then I was on a binge for 3 years, you know, and I found it easier to come back to Colorado because I knew more people to get drugs from here. It was harder in Salt Lake. So I packed up, moved here, and stayed with 2 friends. And I was there for like 2 years before I got a job. And then I finally got a job and got my own apartment. I got my job back that I got fired at for being a druggie the first time. They hired me back because I was in sobriety, but I wasn't sober, and they didn't.
Yeah,
they thought I was. But I got my own apartment, but I was still dealing with this loneliness and feeling like shit. And I moved into my place the first week of May. 2 days after I moved in, my buddy flew in from Cincinnati to visit me, and he wanted me to get him some crack. Well, the only person I knew that had crack also had heroin. So that's when I relapsed on heroin, and I actually OD'd, and my buddy found me and brought me back. And I was like pissed at him, man. I was like, I'm done. I was done. I didn't feel anything, you know, but that would have just killed my family. You know, like, I'm a mama's boy, and mama's probably half the reason I got sober. The other half was me, but I couldn't do that to my mom. And being a funeral director,
I hear you.
And being a funeral director and embalmer, I didn't want to be on that prep table for my coworkers. So I don't know. That's my other story. So So I actually continued to use after he left, because that was May, the first week of May, and then I used until 45 days before Halloween, whatever that was, and then I relapsed that once. So I remember the last day I used, though, and I was back on the heroin because meth just wouldn't do anything. I was ruining my veins. You know, being an embalmer, I know all the veins, but I'd use the and I remember that last day I couldn't hit my veins, and I did so much meth and heroin. By noon, I just started puking my guts out, which I'd never done. And I puked all evening, all night long. And finally at like 8 a.m, I stopped, and I could barely walk. I felt like shit. And I remember sitting in the bathtub that night and just looking around that bathroom where you could see like splatters from the heroin and the syringe everywhere. And it just was making me sick. And I was like, okay, I think it's time to stop, Travis. You know, like it was fun until it wasn't anymore. And I was like, all right, so, I just moved into this apartment. I'm going to quit drugs just until this lease is over, at least, and give it a shot, and see if I'll smile again, And I had this little bit of hope left, not much, but just a little bit. Because I had that taste of sobriety life, and I was smiling again. I was happy again. Yeah. And, it's like you come into the rooms, and very soon people are like, you sound like a different person.
Doesn't take long.
And I didn't see it. I'm like, I'm still the same person, whatever. But everybody would say that. And so after the next day, and I walked myself into the ER, and when they finally got a vein, they got one in my leg and my arm at the same time. They pumped me at 2 IVs and sent me on my way. So I had to work the next day. My bosses went to Europe, so it was me. And, you
had to be there.
And I was withdrawing from heroin and meth, working 40 hours a week. And it was a struggle every morning. I got to work every day, and I'd go to the Bill and Bob's at the Dragon's Den at 5:30 after work. And that meeting, I kept going. And after there's a lady there, Linda, I loved, and she would be like, keep coming back. More will be revealed. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? And
cryptic.
So I remember a week into it, and I mean, because I come in, heroin destroys my body. So I get scabs all over me, and I look like shit.
Yeah.
So after a week, I remember coming to a Saturday meeting, and someone come up to me. It was the Saturday, 8 a.m. And they were like, man, you look a lot better. I was like, thank you. And then another week goes by, and my bosses came back from Europe, and they're like, you look great. And I told them I was using, and I'm sober now. And and they sent me down before they left and asked if they should be worried. They knew, but how do you bring that up with your coworkers?
Yeah, they had a suspicion, and they tried.
Yeah. But, you got to want it. And I finally wanted it. So I started going to the meetings at 5:30 every night. And then I found out there's a crack of dawn at 6:45. And to keep me out of trouble, I would go to bed at 6 o'clock. As soon as I got home from that meeting, it was 6:30. Yeah. I'd come home and I'd go to bed. And people were like, what? I'm like, it keeps me out of trouble.
I get it. I understand that.
So I started waking up at 4 in the morning because I go to bed so early, but it's peaceful and quiet. So I started going to the crack of dawn at 6:45, and then I'd go to work. And then after work, I'd go to another meeting. And then it got to be where I'd even go to another meeting after that. And I was doing 3 meetings a day. Mm-hmm. But my attention span is kind of little. So I have to stay busy in early sobriety because I was afraid, I spent all my time doing drugs before, so I had to fill that void, that time up.
Yep. Uh-huh.
And then, so shortly after going to all those meetings and stuff, I met a girl at the Den, and she invited me to Red Rocks Church. And so I was like, okay, I need to find a higher power. So I was raised Christian, so I knew that there was a God. I mean, that's who I worshiped. But when I started using when I was 12, I lived right through the woods from my church, and me and my friends would skip church, come over and smoke weed, and then go back and act like we never left.
Yep.
So whenever I pushed away my higher power is when my life started going to shit at 12.
Yep. Uh-huh.
So I started going to Red Rocks, and the preacher there is an addict, and they have Recover on Friday nights, and every Sunday I love the sermons. They'd make tears to my eyes, and I just kept going back, and I found my higher power really fast, and I just I turned my life over, because I wasn't running it good. But I let God do it. And, now I got off my Lexapro, which was for depression. I don't have anxiety. I'm a pretty happy guy. I'm smiling. And the only thing I was dealing with in early sobriety was loneliness. I had a big issue on that. But the more and more you go to meetings, there's even a part in the big book, I forget where, but it says, eventually loneliness will fade. And, you know, and I heard that over and over before it finally clicked one day. And I read this book on loneliness. Actually, it was an audio book, so she read it to me. But but it was like a singer / comedian and in New York. And she was like, you have to change your perspective on how you view things. Like, if you're by yourself and you don't have anyone, if you don't have a significant other and you don't have a friend, right now, and you want to go out to eat, take yourself out to eat. Because at least you went. If you have a pet, tell that pet you love them and tell yourself you love yourself. And eventually that will make you feel like you do love yourself. She's like, there are families out there that have kids and wish they had the amount of alone time that you have. Yeah. So you just have to, and I'll be in an AA meeting and they'll be like, this is a guy there that has 3 little kids. And, and then I realize I'm glad I'm not like that, I wanted kids, but, I'm a little too old for that now. And, I'm 42 and, I enjoy my alone time. And I don't know if it was really that book or what, but after that, I started changing my perspectives, and I have no issues sitting here when I get off. I work from home. I can get off work, crawl on the couch and sit in silence all night. Yeah. And that used to drive me crazy and it doesn't now.
Yeah.
But, also when I first got sober, my sponsor wanted me to write 3 things I'm grateful for. And I started doing that with my mom, both my sisters, my grandma, and we would text each other. And that was really nice. I thought I was going to destroy my family, telling them about everything. Now they know I'm positive. They know I was a druggie. And my mom took that so much better than she took I was gay. You know, I don't know why, but she doesn't remember saying that. She was like, that day was a blur, but you know. But I wrote my story down in early sobriety and I emailed it to my mom and my sister. And they cried and my mom was like, people in the rooms were like, you got some balls, because I would not send my mom my story. And I'm like, well, she knows everything else. I mean, I didn't get in all the itty bitty details, but I got in enough. And mom was like, I wish I would have known that about you when you were in high school. I would have went to therapy with you or took you. And, it made me who I am today. And I hope, someone hearing my story, it helps them, because no matter, we think our stories are all unique and, we're so different, but I was in a Zoom meeting one day and there was a guy in there and he actually was in the town next to mine at a college from a little town. HIV went back. Like, it was like my story to a T almost. It was so crazy. Yeah. And, you hear what you want to hear and you have to keep an open mind. If you go to a meeting and a negative thing and you don't want to go and stuff, you might not get much out of it. But I try. In Salt Lake, the old timers told the new ones just to sit there and shut up for 90 days, there's pros and cons in that. Like, I'm a talker, so I like to get shit out and ask questions. Yeah. But I can see why some old timers were like, just sit there and shut up, because you'll hear a lot and you'll take in probably quite a bit more.
Your job is to listen, and that's your intention. Yeah. But we used to be pretty mean in AA. My first AA meeting was 1984. Yeah, it was. If you had less than 30 days, you didn't know anything, and that they would let you know that too. Yeah. Now it's different. Let the newcomers talk. We know that they're going to babble for 15 minutes and whine and cry, let them, man. You did too.
Yep.
So, that's how. But if they can't feel comfortable doing that, then they may not come back.
Right.
And the whole purpose is to get them to come back.
And AA makes you learn to be comfortable in your own skin.
Yes.
It for those of us that don't know what it's like to be a damn adult, it helps us. It helps us learn how to talk to people and communicate and not argue and take criticism and suggestions.
Yes.
So, and then I found this other quote I kind of like, which I'll say now is, maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you. So you can be who you were meant to be in the first place. And, now I feel like I've got my own apartment back. Everything came back really fast for me. Once I came back in, I quit the job that fired me years ago and went to a different company, to the other company that fired me. So, and then I went to the sister company of that, and I work online now, but I moved downtown in Denver, and I tell people I feel like I'm exactly where I should be. I'm just like 20 years behind.
Yeah.
But, but that's okay. Yeah. I'm happy. I'm sober. And I'm here for others, I'm not, I don't know. I don't know. So I know like the AA, they want you to do all the steps and have a sponsor and everything. And I think, that should, people should. My story, I haven't done all my steps. I did them once, but then I haven't done them again. And I actually don't have a sponsor right now. The sponsor I had, I kind of quit, but I still call her all the time, I talked to her this morning. And I have a lot of friends I've had to cut out, and that's where the loneliness comes from. But, my 5:30 group, they met this morning at 10 o'clock. Like, we meet on Saturdays and have breakfast and, and we all met on Zoom. And so the first time everyone's like, oh my, you're taller. I was like, it's different meeting people. But one of the girls, we had barbecue last night. I took her to a CA meeting. She had never been. And you realize life can be fun. When you first come in the rooms, you think my life's over. I can't drink.
Yeah.
I can't do drugs.
And
life just sucks.
Well, and life does suck. I mean, nobody comes in happy, joyous, and free, man.
So I was always this happy little fat kid. And so once I did get rid of the drugs and come around, then I was smiling and I was happy again,
Yeah.
And a lot of people, some people, I don't know, they just were like, how are you so happy? But I think that's just kind of me,
Yeah. Well, that's who you actually, that's who you actually are. You're usually an upbeat kind of a person, and you become different when you throw a depressant in you. Happens to everybody. So, now, and I think you hit it. You became the person that you were supposed to be, but none of that, but you wouldn't be who you are today if none of that shit ever happened to you.
Right. And I had fun. I'm not going to say doing drugs and everything was just shitty. Like, it was a lot of fun for a while, but then it got to be where I'm a social person. I always had to be out and about. And then I got to the last few years where I never left my apartment, and that wasn't fun anymore,
I hear you. And I'm a social person also, and it's even affected me in my recovery. I'm still working to, that's how I get, that loneliness. I understand that. I'm over 5 years sober. There's still some days I'm like, why do I feel lonely like this? I'll go hit a meeting or something. It's just my mind trying to find that easier, softer way, man. And I have to remind my new my new brain cells. We don't party here anymore, man. We don't do that here.
Yeah. And so in early sobriety, also they tell people, like, if you don't believe in a God, like, get a dog. It's God spelled backwards. So I was like, I wanted a dog. Because after my dog died, I was like, I always used to put off in my head, well, I can't go to rehab. I got a dog. Who's going to take care of the dog? You know? And the dog died, and I was like, well, I always thought I would die at 40. I don't know why. I just always said that.
Yeah.
And I said, if I make it to 41, I'll get a dog. Well, I got sober Halloween of 19. I turned 41 December 14th of 2019. And the first week in January, I got a dog.
All right.
And right after my birthday, my grandpa died, and his last name's Cooper. So I named my little dog Cooper after my grandpa.
That's cool.
And my grandparents' 70th anniversary is Halloween. So that's my sobriety date too. And
right on.
And when I relapsed and I started going through my phone list and calling people, and the guy's like, you have to look at the good side of everything, you know, like, just because you relapsed one day doesn't mean everything you learned in 45 days is out the wall, you know, like, they're like, you learned a lot, you came a long way. And that brought me back in that room that night. And I'm like, you know, now Halloween's my sobriety day. That's kind of a cool day.
Yeah. Well, it actually worked out well for you.
Yeah. And, you know, and that person actually didn't make it, you know, but he kept me sober that day. And, you know, and I reached out, and I kept calling him after a while. We would always stay in touch, and he took his own life, but it makes you remember what this disease does, you know?
Yeah. And we understand that. Heck, you got mad at your friend for saving your life.
Yeah.
We understand it.
But in the end, it got him off of crack for watching me do that, you know, and he went back and he's off crack. So, hey.
Fucking A, man. Yeah. You know, but we're those kinds of people now, where for me, when I hear something, I'm always looking for the miracle and the good in it. Yeah. Whereas before, my mind was always geared toward, well, what a piece of crap, and making judgments and everything else. And now that I have freed myself and God's taken all that crap from me, I can see so much more clearly now. And I can see myself much more clearly. And I like me. I love me.
Right. It's our perspective on how we view things again, you know. You got to just be happy, you know. And this time around, since I work from home, I kind of get bored in the evening, so I added a second job, and so I go to Coors Field and I do trash, you know. And it's a humbling experience for me. I called my sponsor the first day there. Well, the first day they kept me on the first floor, and then they put me up by the bars, which was around all these people like I used to hang out with. And I felt ashamed or something. I don't know. And I called my sponsor, and I'm like, is this bad? Like, I almost don't want to go in. Like, I feel bad up there. Like, I'm around people like I used to be. And she's like, no, this is a humbling experience for you. She's like, my first year, I had to clean porta-johns. And, you know, I'm exactly with you, you know, but she's like, you'll get something out of this. And I'm working on losing weight and exercise, and I'm working to get my outside match how I feel inside. That's my second year in sobriety. You know, I've got 4 implants put in, or 4 screws. I got to wait for the implants, and I'm working on a tattoo I didn't like. I've dropped, 36 pounds so far.
Wow.
You know, and so I wake up every morning after I take my dog out. You know, I weigh myself, and it just keeps me going along. And then I go on to a meeting at 5:30, and that's when I pray. You know, some people say pray first thing in the morning, but getting a puppy right off the bat, you know, I just had to tweak things that worked for me.
That's okay. You're getting to it when you're supposed to. I mean, it's not like you're avoiding God. That's not
right, right. And I can do church online and watch that on tomorrow. I like going in person, but now moving down here, it's cheaper if I just watch it online. But I've got a few friends going. My father now goes to church with my mom after all of this, after 40 years. Or 40 some. Mom's like, they sit and they talk now. Like, used to in my family, if you don't talk about it, it doesn't exist.
That's right.
That's how my family was. Like, the gay thing still isn't brought up, and they're old school and country, so they'll live with it until I bring them a guy. But my parents talk now. And I didn't tear them apart. I brought them closer together, and that's that's another good thing about telling them my story. I mean, I brought my parents in, and I made them watch videos of people shooting up and stuff, and they had a lot of questions about it, So I told them, I was like, this is what I did. And then when I relapsed, I was like, oh, I should have never told my parents. I wish I wouldn't have never told them, because I still could have got away with everything. But in all honesty, your parents need to know, or at least mine do.
They do, yeah.
Because they helped me get back on track, when I went out.
That's what parents are there for, absolutely. No.
Yeah. And, and some people might not have the parents things, but they have their friends to help them, friends to hold them accountable. And I've met some cool people, and I've been going hiking with AA friends, and, we go to escape rooms and bowling and things that I used to do all fucked up, but now I'm doing sober. And, the first time I'm doing these things, I get nervous. Like, I'm going to a baseball game and I'm not going to drink, but I had fun and I saved a lot of money. So, and I'm running like 5Ks now, and I'm getting healthier, and and I'm just back to where I was when I was sitting in that bathtub, hoping I would smile again one day. And I'm there,
You did it. Good job.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So,
Travis, thank you so much for coming on, man, and talking with us. I'd have to say what I get out of this is, is I could probably sit down and write a plan of what I think is going to happen in the next 6 months, and then take a look at it in 6 months from now. And it's going to be so much better than I ever thought, because God's got a much bigger plan than I do.
yes.
He knows so much more. He knows so much more than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really neat that we can get into the program and utilize our trash for cold, and bring you brought family back together, your own family, just by getting and staying sober and being a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And what I also heard you saying was you have choices now today. You have options.
Right.
Because you can get up in the morning, and I know you're saying that I don't have a sponsor right now either. But what I do have is 5 accountability buddies that are not going to let me do anything screwy.
Sure.
So I'm covered. I'm looking for a sponsor. It's been a year, but I haven't found them yet.
Right.
They got to have more sobriety than me, and I got 5 years. So, it is what it is, and God will present that to me when it's time.
Hey, I have a friend, I think, she has about my amount of sobriety, and she has a sponsee that has like 10 or 20 years or something. So you don't have to always look for someone that has more time than you. Anybody can help. So.
And I believe in quality over quantity. Sure. Absolutely.
But you do what works for you, and what will work for you. So
yeah. Well, I'll know when I meet them. Yeah. At the same time, we don't use that as an excuse to avoid doing the work. You know, I still go to therapy. I have closed mouth friends that keep me where I'm supposed to be. I do my meetings. I do what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You know, and I love this life. I love it. Oh.
Yep. And now I don't know if you know, I've heard about this one, but for everyone out there that's in Denver listening to this, there is, it might not be for everybody, but there's a sober bar. It's the America's first sober bar, and it's called Awake, and it's by the Broncos field. And they have coffee and food, but then they also have like non-alcoholic drinks. And I have some friends that want to go with me, but some friends said that I would trigger them having a margarita that's not alcoholic. But if it would work for you, and I'm going to take my mom and my sister there. They're coming in like 10 days, and mom wants a margarita. So I'm going to take her there and have a non-alcoholic one, because she doesn't care if she gets drunk. She's never been drunk. But I was like, Mom, we're going to go there and you can have a margarita with me. She's like, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
But
for some people, it's okay. And this is a great example. When I got sober the first time at 19, I'd gotten 12 years of sobriety, but in that, when I was about 5-6 years sober, I started going dancing at the Deadbeat Club. Well, I'd never been in the bars, so it was no biggie for me. Yeah. Didn't affect me at all. Now it would be different. So it really depends on who you are, Yeah. What I really appreciate is that there's diversity in recovery. I love AA. I'll be in AA for the rest of my life, and I want to be. But AA is not the only way to get sober, man. No way.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
It's just another plan of action. There's, you can go to church. There's Celebrate Recovery. There's a lot of different pathways, man. And I support all those different pathways myself.
There's even right here close to my house, I found out. I always heard about it, but I didn't know what it was. But there's the Phoenix, and it's a sober gym if you have 48 hours sobriety, and you can go yoga, meditation, rock climbing. I've done the yoga and meditation, and that's all I've done so far. But I was looking for classes this morning, but I might try to do that tomorrow morning.
And they have gyms all across the country.
Yeah.
But it's funny because they're actually a block away from the Phoenix Concept, which is a halfway house for recovering for homeless alcoholics.
Yes.
So,
there was a meeting I would go to there.
Long time ago.
I found an HA meeting on a Friday night, and they don't have any meetings since COVID. So,
yeah. I want to get back down there. I was the 5th person to go through that program.
Okay, and the guys lived upstairs. Is that the same place?
It was. Oh, yeah. This was in 1989. It wasn't run by the government. We made plaques and piggy banks and took donations. We ate beans for every meal. Our coffee was donated by Boyers, who was whatever fell on the floor at the warehouse. I know because I ended up working at Boyers and doing that part. But the Phoenix Concept was the ultimate sober living at one point. I'm not saying it doesn't have what it's now isn't good, because it is, but it used to be even better. And I'm actually working on a sober living in Oklahoma right now that's more community oriented. The sober living will be giving back to the community by bringing in more jobs and just more stuff. So, but what we're saying, guys, is whatever your passion is, you can find it in recovery. I don't care if it's shoveling dirt. You'll find somebody else in recovery that loves to do what you do.
Or you'll find out what you like to do once you get clean. Because some people don't know. They were using drugs so much, Yeah.
So, I had a big fear of going back and playing music because I'm a drummer. And I sat down and no problems, man. No.
Music. I love music. And that's my meditation. Oh, I love music.
Yep. All right. Let's, do you have any words of wisdom you'd like to pass on?
It works. It really does.
It does.
Nice and simple.
Yeah. The best things are simple. So, All right, everybody. Thank you for being here and for being a part of. Yeah, it's very important that we tell our stories and that we're honest about who we are with ourselves. And I think from this, what we can take from it is, if you want to learn how to love other people, learn how to love yourself first. And then it's just going to come naturally. Thank you guys for being here. This has been Raw Recovery with Dion Miller. I love you guys. You know I do. Peace out and have a day.